Hello friends, welcome to another practice question of arithmetic progressions. This is the 14th question in the series. I will strongly urge you to go back and watch the previous 13 as well. The link to the entire playlist is down there in the description for your reference. Let's start solving this one. Now, this question is a higher order thinking skills question. Okay, this is a HOTS question. Now remember that in these kind of questions, you have to be very careful about what you want to finally arrive at. Okay, so keep the RHS in mind while you begin solving the LHS. Now let's start solving this one first. Okay, so the question says Pth, Qth, and Rth terms of an AP are ABC. So Pth term is equal to A, and this is equal to uh, let's say the first term is capital A plus P minus 1 into capital D. Okay, qth term is equal to B, rth term is equal to C, and this is equal to A plus Q minus 1 into D, and this is A plus R minus 1 into D. So these are my three equations that I have. Okay, equation 1, equation 2, and equation 3. Okay, now it says proof that A into Q minus R plus B into R minus P plus C into P minus Q is equal to 0. All I have to do is just take A, which is this, and multiply it with Q minus R. Let me solve for this part here. Okay, so A is capital A plus P minus 1 into D, this whole thing multiplied with Q minus R. Okay, plus B, I'm again replacing it as A plus uh, Q minus 1 into D multiplied with Q minus R plus C is A plus R minus 1 into D multiplied, sorry, this is R minus P. Okay, and this is P minus Q. Now this is the equation that we have to solve, and we should eventually get a 0. Now remember that we don't know what the value of capital A and capital D is. We do not know what are the first term and the common difference of A and D is. And if using this I have to prove that the value of this whole thing is equal to 0, if I have to prove that, then remember these terms should cancel amongst themselves. Okay, so all I'm going to do in the next step is, so in this step I replaced A from here, I replaced A from here with A from here. Okay, now in the next step what I'm going to do is I'm going to segregate the capital A and see what all terms come with capital A. So A over here is multiplied with Q minus R, so I'll put Q minus R plus it's multiplied with R minus P here, plus it is multiplied with P minus Q over here. So I have segregated all the A. Now I'm going to do a similar thing with all the D. Now when I do it with D, D will have two terms. So D will be P minus 1 into Q minus R plus Q minus 1 into R minus P plus R minus 1 into P minus Q. Okay. Now if you look carefully in this Q gets cancelled with minus Q, the plus P gets cancelled with minus P, and the R gets cancelled with R. So this whole thing becomes 0. So A is now multiplied with 0. So this entire part becomes 0. And let's see what happens to D here. Okay. So this becomes A multiplied with 0 plus what is the value of D? D is multiplied with, if I open the bracket, okay, if I open the bracket, I get P is multiplied with Q minus R plus Q is multiplied with R minus P plus R is multiplied with P minus Q. Okay, this is one part, and this minus 1 is multiplied with Q minus R, Q minus R, plus the minus 1 is multiplied with R minus P plus P minus Q. Now look at this again. The Q gets cancelled with Q, the P gets cancelled with P, and the R gets cancelled with R. So you're left only with this part, okay? Now A into 0 I am removing, and this into 0 I am removing. I am actually left with D into P into Q minus R plus Q into R minus P plus R into P minus Q. This is what I'm left with, and this will also be equal to 0. Why? You can see here, if I open, I get PQ minus PR plus QR minus PQ plus RP minus RQ. Okay, this. Now see, this PR gets cancelled with RP, minus PQ gets cancelled with plus PQ, and plus QR gets cancelled with minus QR. So eventually this whole thing boils down to 0. Okay, so part 1 of the equation we have solved here by getting everything as 0. Now for the second part of the question, you actually have to see, you have to do A minus B, which means you have to actually subtract 1 minus 2. To get B minus C, you have to subtract 2 minus 3, and then to get C minus A, you have to subtract this 3 minus 1. Okay, let me try doing that. Let me arrange my page slightly. Now I'm starting to solve the second part of the question. Now if I have to do A minus B, this A will get cancelled with this A, and this minus D will get cancelled with this D. So A minus B will be equal to P minus Q into D. Agreed? A minus B is P minus Q into D. And this thing is multiplied with R. Plus B minus C is equal to Q minus R multiplied by D, and this whole thing is multiplied by P, plus C minus A is R minus P, this whole thing multiplied by D, and this whole thing is multiplied by Q. So I have to solve for this. Okay, now all the three terms over here have D in them common, so I take the D out. Okay, now always remember, because I do not know the value of A and I do not know the value of D, I should always try to bring D out as a common, so that the questions can be segregated and the other terms can cancel out each other, and I do not have to depend upon D for the solution. Okay, the moment I do this, what it becomes is P minus Q into R plus Q minus R into P plus R minus P into Q into D. And if I solve for this, let the D remain here as it is, it becomes PR minus QR plus PQ minus PR plus RQ minus PQ. Okay, now here everything will get cancelled. PR gets cancelled with minus PR, PQ gets cancelled with minus PQ, and QR gets cancelled with QR, and left with a 0 here. So the second part of the question is also proved here. Okay, I hope you found the solution useful. These are lengthy and irritating questions, but if you understand the steps and the basic concepts really well, the solution should be very simple. It is nothing but just calculations wherein you keep your eye open about what you know, what you do not know, and what you eventually have to finally derive at. Okay, I hope you found the solution useful. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe. And in case you want me to solve any other questions for you, Do shoot your queries at the WhatsApp number mentioned in the description. Till then, keep working hard, keep practicing hard. Cheers and God bless.